Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the opportunity to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host, Mike Lepre, here with my co-host, Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
This is episode 124 of Screwball. This week, coming in with a little bit more news as we had Labor Day and a little extra day here to record the podcast, and it is going up, as you probably already noticed, a day late on Thursday. So we do have some extra days here of news and stats and other happenings in baseball. So between the two of us, we have a lot to talk about, so let's just jump right into it. And at the top of the show, as we usually do with the news, so the number one piece of news I have here is Chicago White Sox ace Dylan Cease was 1 out away from history Saturday night. Cease lost a no-hitter with 2 outs in the ninth inning against the Minnesota Twins. Luis Arias, the AL leading hitter, broke it up with a single to right field, and Chicago ended up winning that game 13-0. So we don't obviously have quite the no-hitters we had, what was it, last year? Or so it was the record-breaking year. We had like a million of them. We haven't quite seen that volume at all. And Dylan Cease has been absolutely incredible this year. Borderline, Cy Young award, if not the Cy Young guy, maybe other than Verlander. So, him having a no-hitter would have made sense. And I think that the only other thing that makes sense here is Luis Arias being the one to break it up.
Oh, yeah.
Being the leading hitter in the AL is pretty good. Pretty good guy to get the hit for you as if you're the Twins. So
Well, he wasn't an all-star. Dylan Cease.
yeah, I still don't understand that. So, but yeah, he was pretty close to a no hitter there. But I mean, just Dylan Cease in general has been really, really good for the White Sox this season. All for on a team that really has just been underperforming at an outstanding level. Really, I just can't even believe they're
500.
Yeah, they're just an average team in really the easiest division in baseball. Really the easiest division to win at this point. So I don't know, but cool for him that he really, I think it ended up being just a one hitter, and I believe he did throw the complete game. So good for him. All in all, good start. But I thought I'd just bring it up that he was just that close, and how close we've come a few times this year to no hitters and stuff.
It was 2 times.
Yeah.
The guy was down to 1 strike left in the ninth inning.
Yeah, it's good on the hitter for staying in there and fighting one off or whatever and hitting a clean single or whatever it was. But yeah, so moving on to the next piece of news, which I think is not even so much a piece of news, but more of maybe a little just inquiry we have, and all of baseball has here. But number 2, can Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge win the Triple Crown in each of their respective leagues? So currently, Goldschmidt is sitting, he's only 2 behind the home run leader in the NL, and he's leading all other categories. And Aaron Judge is leading all other categories. He's leading home runs and RBIs, but he's .013 points down in average, which this far into the season, it's not an easy piece of ground to make up. But when you're that close and you already far and away have the home run lead and the RBIs, you're up there too. So, and Goldschmidt only being 2 home runs behind, I mean, he's certainly well within the grasp. I think Goldschmidt is really the closer of the two. But it's pretty amazing that we have 2 guys having this incredible of a year. Especially, I know Goldschmidt all year has been great, but Aaron Judge is having borderline a historic season, which is, it's just very cool to see 2 guys one in each league doing it. Is really cool and 2 guys that we like.
If it wasn't for Aaron Judge's season right now, too, you'd have Goldschmidt would have a chance of winning the Triple Crown for the entire league.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's at the average, and you take out Judge's home runs, and he's right up there in the most home runs in all of baseball, and his RBIs, he's right up there. So he's not far off of the whole league Triple Crown, which we haven't seen a bunch of times.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's impressive by both of them. Both really carrying their teams, really, because, the Cardinals as a whole would definitely be a lot closer to the Brewers than they are now. And the Yankees certainly, I think at this point, would not have the AL East lead. So, I just don't know how how much more valuable you can get to a team than these two guys. So. But yeah, it's just worth bringing up because as the weeks go on here, we could see a legitimate Triple Crown winner. Or both. Hell, it'd be even crazier. And then moving on to the third piece of news I have here, just as a follow-up to last week's news regarding the Minor League Baseball Players Association unionization. More than 50% of minor league baseball players have signed the authorization cards in support of unionization as part of the MLB Players Association, the union that just announced this yesterday, Tuesday, as we're recording this. So I think it's as I kind of brought up last week, I think it's cool that they can unionize and become part of, more of the Players Association. And you have a lot of these guys that are going to make it through into the MLB, and even if they don't, they should be treated. I think they should be treated fairly, and I just think it's good for the league and good for those minor league players because a lot of them, there's always reports of guys not getting treated, as fairly as they probably should. So I think it's a good thing, but I just wanted as a follow up to say that the 50% of them did sign, and it's probably going to move forward. Is my guess if they at least got 50%, that's a good start.
More probably coming in as well.
Right, and that's just as of right now.
Yeah, some other news I got here. We've seen Pujols hits home run number 695, bringing him 5 away from obviously 700, 1 away from tying A-Rod. But he also broke the record for the most home runs off of a different pitcher.
Yeah,
I believe it's 450 different pitchers now. So that's pretty incredible in its own right.
Yeah.
We've seen the Orioles yesterday and the Blue Jays bench clearing yelling match. Not much going on, but you can see the fight in the Orioles.
Yep.
Which is different than we've seen in the last couple of years. So that's good to see.
Absolutely.
What else we got here? The Braves come all the way back, and they're tied for the division going into today.
Yeah.
Mets had a doubleheader. They won game 1. Braves won their game, so they're still tied. Mets obviously have another game doubleheader. If they lose that game, Braves are in first place. They were 10 and a half back at certain points. I think they were 14 or 13 back at some points.
Mm-hmm.
And they came all the way back. They just don't seem to lose at this point.
Yep.
Again, Judge hit a home run today, his 55th home run. 6 away from tying the AL record. 7 away from breaking the AL record. And whatever you want to count that. But he's 18 away from tying Bonds, 19 away from breaking that record. I don't think that's going to happen unless he goes on literally one of the greatest home run months to ever be done.
Yeah.
Like the record Sosa with 21 in a month or something. He would need 19 at this point.
Yeah.
Plus the ones he's already hit this month. So he would literally have to break the record.
Yeah, which is, I mean...
Which, I guess is not impossible, but it's damn near impossible.
Yeah.
So, other than that, I didn't have a real big topic to go over today. My topic I thought was with some of these teams that have been lackluster here was, is there a leader or a leadership problem on some of these teams? And one being, the one team we talk about, a little bit because we watch all the time, but the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think there's a leadership problem on this team. And the reason being is who's leading the team. You can say, Garrett Cole. But Garrett Cole's not quite that leader you can get fully behind because you know the kind of leader he is. He's a fire guy, right? So sometimes he's a little too ramped up. Or sometimes he gets a little too over himself. He's not too level-headed, right? Kind of like Paul O'Neill, right? He was a leader. But he wasn't quite the leader because, again, he gets fired up, which is great. You need those guys, but not quite the leader, right? And then you have a guy like Judge who doesn't say anything. At least, you don't see anything. There's just no way that he can say. He says too much to his guys, which is you need those guys too. But there needs to be a middle ground to have a good leader.
Right.
I know with the Jeter documentary, you could see at the young age, he was yelling at veterans, David Wells. Do you see Judge doing that? No, I don't. And is that a problem for the Yankees? Is why they're having essentially these collapses, or these all of a sudden these long stretches of faltering. There's not that leader like, hey, you got to pick it up. And we've seen this year Boone do a better job, kind of calling the guys out. But I think the players need to do that too. And one team again you could say is the Phillies. What happened there? Girardi got fired, and it was all different.
Yeah.
Was it all of a sudden it's you, it's on you? Or did the players come out, hey, Girardi got fired, and then Harper, who's, I can see he fits that. He'll get on you, anymore. When you first was younger, I think he was a little more Garrett Cole, a little more hotter,
Right.
a little more hot-headed. Now I think he cooled it a little bit. He'll get hot-headed, but I think he maybe feels that leadership a little bit better. Well, he'll get on you. Hey, you got to play better.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And then all of a sudden, that's what happened. We got to play better. Like, you're doing this wrong. You're doing this wrong. Like, you got to be open to your teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, you'll get them next time. No. Hey, listen, you haven't got a hit in a month. Hit the ball right field.
Yeah, for once.
Like, change your swing. Let's go.
Mm.
You know, you can't just keep going up there and banging your head against the wall and think something's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the White Sox, they have a leader. You say, oh, Tim Anderson's a leader. But is he? Because he can't keep himself on the field. He's getting suspended every time he's out there. He's doing this every time he's out there. Oh, well, they don't like the coach because they like. Well, then you're not a leader. You deal with what you got to have. You got to have a leader that's going to, you know, call someone out when they need to be called out, level-headed when they need to be level-headed, but they got to be, you know, they got to explode when they need to be, you know, time to explode.
Mm-hmm.
In the Yankees' case, you know, Judge got hit by Manoah that game. That was his chance. Cole was already out of the dugout, fired up. Again, Cole, that's his guy. That's what he does. Judge could have really set the tone there. He gets fighting a little bit. Team's rocking and rolling.
Right.
But there's just none of that. So you need a leader. And that's like, not everyone's a leader. And not every team has one. Not every team has a captain. If I'm the Yankees and Judge is my captain, this can't happen if you're the captain. It can't happen. Last year, the team had more talent than anybody, and they were pathetic. This year, you're absolutely falling apart. Obviously, now you're kind of riding back up a little bit, right? You're at least being a decent team. But what happened?
Yeah.
How can you go through these long stretches? If you're the leader, that can't happen. It just doesn't happen. You know, and then, like I said, not every team has them. Or not every team has that one guy. Sometimes more of a collective.
Right.
The Yankees don't have that middle ground guy. Because Judge is like Jesus over there.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how many guys can stand up and talk. I mean, Cole is probably the one guy that can, because he'll talk to he'll stand up to anybody.
Yeah.
But Judge, I just think you got to have that middle ground to be able to pick on the guys, not pick on them, but call them out. Like, you've been terrible. You're not helping us.
Right.
And, hey, you're doing a great job. Or, hey, you got to do this. And sometimes it's okay just not do anything.
Mm.
But you don't have that. And some teams, like I said, the Angels have a big one. The Angels are a big team that has no leader. Ohtani's not going to call you out. That's just not his nature. One, it's not even his language.
Right.
Trout, very similar to Judge. Never going to call you out. So, and again, what's that team do? Falter every year.
Mm-hmm.
You need a leader. You need to call guys out when it's time to call somebody out. White Sox, I think we've seen a problem with that. And then obviously, I don't know why they don't want to play with La Russa, but they can't get past that. Then you got teams like, you know, the Mets. I think they have their guys. You know, I don't know, Lindor, you know, when he's playing good, it feels like that way. When he's playing bad, I don't know, it seems like he's kind of a little bit quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But you got kind of McNeil, a little bit of an excitement guy, right? When things get going, he gets excited. And Nimmo's just, all riled up, ready to go nuts. And then Alonso, it looks like Alonso's the kind of guy who'll get on you when he's get on you, right?
Yeah.
And then you have your Scherzer, who's kind of like your Garrett Cole, who just goes absolutely nuts. But then you have your DeGrom, who doesn't say a word. So it feels like you have that guy. Then you obviously have a manager who will get on you and do whatever he needs to do. So they have that leadership, and that's why they went to the next level. Because they finally have a leader. Or multiple people that fill that leadership role.
Yeah, they have a balance, you know.
I think Cleveland is a great example. I think Jose Ramirez, I don't know exactly what goes on over there. Him taking a lesser contract, though, and Cleveland always playing better than they're expected, seems to be, you know, Josh Naylor goes nuts over there. There's your hot guy, your high-headed guy. Then you got Jose Ramirez, seems to be kind of a middle ground. Shane Bieber doesn't say a word. It just seems like they have a leadership, and they're always better than they are. And then you got Terry Francona. So you have those leaders, but the players need to be leaders too, not just laying on the coaches all the time. And I think that's where we talked about this in the past, where coaches kind of get beat up for, and the players are like, oh, that's his fault. You got to be a leader. And I think we see that, like I said, the Angels are a perfect example. The Yankees are a perfect example. I just think they lack player leadership. Where's the players-only meetings getting called? You know, when are you getting called out? When is this getting called out? You know, Philly, I think, was a good example. All of a sudden, I think the players got put on, like, hey, this is on you guys now, when Girardi got fired. And then look what happened.
Right.
You know, the White Sox, just seems like it's lacking over there. Cleveland just seems like they always have something. Maybe it is just Francona, but maybe it's the player. Jose Ramirez taking a lesser deal. It really sticks with a lot of guys wanting to be there. You know, Houston, I don't know. You got your guys out there.
Dodgers.
especially in the past. Well, Dodgers, of course, they have every superstar in the world. But you have Freeman. He's done there. No doubt in my mind he'll get on you when we need to.
Right.
But he's as smooth and calm as it gets. It just seems you got to have that mix of guys, or you have to have a leader. I just don't see some of these teams not having that guy who will get on you. And then it just kind of, these long extended streaks just go and go and go until, eventually they get hot again, or they start turning around. But you got to get on. Like, hey, you got to play better.
Right.
Like, this is on you now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not just one guy for the Yankees that's is a problem. That's not the thing. But you got to get on them, not just let it happen.
Right.
Or the coach will say something, or the fans let them. No. The players have to be like, hey, like you get them next time. I get it, but hey, this has to be changed.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the leader of this team. You want to be the captain? You got to show me that this doesn't happen. These extended cold streaks where the team's pathetic.
Agreed.
It's more than just the numbers. He goes out there and keep hitting all he wants. You got to get everybody else on board here. And I think the Angels are an absolute perfect example.
Yeah.
I think Trout fits the Judge kind of mold.
Mm-hmm.
They're very similar in that clubhouse. You can see it. They're Jesus.
Yeah.
No one's going to say a word to them. But they're not really going to call you out. And it's not going to be like a louder call out either. They might come over to you, hey, you got to go do it. Hey, let's go. Like, kind of call them out.
Mm-hmm.
We see it in other sports. Big Ben used to do it. He had a talk show on just go on the radio once a week. And there were some weeks they used to talk about it. You see it on TV all the time. He would call guys out. He would really call them like, this guy's not playing good. He's really, he's hurting our offense because he's not playing good. And sometimes they talked about that, like, I don't know if he should call those guys out. I don't know if he should. Sometimes they're like, yeah, they're not really, but a lot of times it wasn't. You're not wrong. And all of a sudden that guy starts playing better. Put the fire on them. Hey, you got to do something here. So that's what I wanted to, I didn't know exactly the topic to do, but I figured that was a good one just because, again, I thought about it recently when I seen the Yankees kind of falter in. And then thinking, well, look at the Phillies, and look at the White Sox, and then look at the Angels. I'm like, well, this all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Does this happen? Then you look at the Mets, and how did their team didn't change much this year. You added Scherzer.
Yeah.
Edwin Diaz is better than he was last year, but Diaz wasn't bad last year. He's been dominant this year. Then you add Scherzer, and your team's 40 more wins than you had.
Yep.
There's something different.
Yeah. Him and Showalter really are the big additions.
Yeah,
see how much of a difference
that
makes.
Leaders, you need them leaders. You need that guy to call you out when needed, to understand when to just pat him on the back when needed, and times when it's, hey, you're pissing us off, let's go fight somebody, let's clear the benches, let's push somebody down. You need that too. Right now, I don't see the Yankees starting no fights. Right? And you had a chance, and a lot of patting on the back, you'll get it next time.
Right.
And the Angels definitely, they don't do anything right. So,
No, they never do.
But again, I think it's this leadership. And there's other teams, you can go up and down. You said the Dodgers. Freeman seems to be that middle ground.
Yeah, you got the fiery guy with Muncy.
You got,
Mookie
Kershaw.
Betts probably a middle ground guy.
Yeah, Kershaw doesn't really seem to get under anybody's skin out there. But he's another one. He's kind of at the top of the chain now, right? Houston, you got Verlander. He'll get up on you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Altuve does his part.
Yeah.
You had Correa there in the past.
Bregman.
Yeah, and then you got Lee Brantley, who just goes about his, LeMahieu-esque business. Just kind of goes about it and hits and shows up and he goes home. So you need those mixed guys, but you need that middle ground guy and someone who's going to call him out, which is going to set cold streaks shorter, put guys more accountable. Don't put it on the front office or, these other team played so much better. And, we had injuries. No, it's on the players.
Mm-hmm.
Step up and do something. When someone doesn't hustle, you call them out.
Right.
When someone doesn't, someone keeps doing the same thing over and over and it's not working, you call them out. They start, waving their hands at people and like, you got to make that play, you call them out.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be somebody like that. And it's almost like you almost want to not do it and, make an ass of them, but there's times where you almost want to be like, hey, so someone could see it. Oh, all right, this guy's a really leader, he's to show you. Like, hey, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So there's times in place for it, and I think it's harder to find those guys now.
I agree.
Because a lot of it's been pushed. Well, it's coach's fault. It's the management fault. Even coming up as a young person. It always seems to be, coach just doesn't do it right. That guy doesn't do this, doesn't do that. I don't know. You get a different team, and they switch teams and stuff like that. Like, sometimes you just got to take what you get, and you got to do the best with it.
Right.
And you got to be your own leader.
Yeah, I agree. That's why you always, you wonder, especially the Braves last year, even though they won the World Series, struggled for a while. Maybe they didn't have quite the mix they wanted, and all of a sudden they make trade deadline moves, and you got the fiery guy, and you got, more balanced, a more balanced clubhouse,
Well,
really.
maybe Freeman. Again, from us saying Freeman's going to be loud all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he finally really took that step.
Yeah.
Knowing, I am the leader here.
Mm.
Because you had Cunha and a guy like that, where he's like, maybe I'm not quite the leader, and I think maybe he took that step. It's like, I am the leader,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what's going on.
Yeah. And here's the
That's all
deal:
it takes.
we're
I'm
playing
telling you,
like crap. Yeah.
Philly's a perfect example. That definitely happened. They literally said when they fired Girardi, the players literally had like a meeting, players only meeting, and they're like, "Hey, it's on us.
Mm.
Like we let this happen," and then they went nuts. They're
Yeah.
55-20 or some crap like that.
Yeah, they've been good.
Sometimes the player, you're the one with the bat in your hand. Coach is gonna write your name in there. What's that gonna do? You gotta hit the ball. You gotta make the plays.
Yeah, and it's hard to say as a fan too because you only get to see what they're like on the field. They could be a completely different person in the clubhouse. Like, hey, dude, you gotta do this, you gotta do that.
What they say in their post conference or press conference, did they really mean that, or are they more just
It's more so that they
saying
don't.
just they're both sided neutral ground. Yeah, that's what happens. We
Yeah,
gotta do
it's-
that. Or
yeah.
sometimes you see it though. We've seen Boone. This is embarrassing, and you've seen the difference this year with him.
Mm.
You kind of need to have a player too. When it's time to, call someone out, you gotta call them out. That's literally the name. That's pretty much should have been the name of the topic.
Yeah.
When it's time to be like, hey, you're really not doing anything. You got to be able to say, hey, you're really not doing anything.
Right. Yeah, a team with a good balanced clubhouse with guys that are kind of will go about their business, take criticism, and run with it. There's guys that like a Donaldson or a Muncy or a Ramon Liriano who's gonna get up in your face, probably tell you what's going on. And then you got guys like you said, like a Freddie Freeman, who's just a natural born leader. Probably. I mean, we're not in the clubhouse with him.
Exactly, that middle ground guy he will get to you, almost grab you by the jersey, and be like, hey, listen. But he'll also be the first one pat you on the back and won't even know he's there.
Right.
Because he's just calm, smooth, and collected. But then there's times he'll grab you and be like, you're really being a piece of shit right now.
They'll know what the situation calls for. Does it call for me screaming, yelling, and throwing something, or does it call for me going, hey, listen, guys, this is what's going on?
Lupinella chucking guys over tables and pulling, kicking, water coolers and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that's why some of these teams struggle for these long, extended times.
Agreed.
They just can't find that leader to kick them in the ass.
Yeah, and it depends because there's certain years teams just get that right mix. They just all gel together, even if they're not the best. They may not be the best players, stat wise that you put on the field, but somehow when you get them all in the clubhouse and you get them all together, it just works.
Yeah, and you don't want to let each other down, and you get that team moving. And you could look another example, to be honest with you. You don't want to prolong this any longer, but look at the Twins last year. They were terrible. Who'd they get this year? Correa. That's a guy I think that splits that middle.
Yeah.
He'll pat you on the back when needed, but he'll get up on you. And I'm not the biggest fan of his, and we know his history, and look at the difference. Now, was it just a little bit of bad luck too? Sure, but to get that leader, it just seems to be a different. Like, you don't want to let each other down. This guy knows what we're doing. When we're playing good, he's great. When we're playing bad, he'll call you out on it. When you do something stupid, he'll call you out on it.
Mm-hmm.
You're accountable for this team or wins and your own actions. The coach is only going to put you out in the field. He writes your name in the lineup. That's all he does. That's all he does. You got to take it from there.
Yeah, it's you can see it too. Players on the field and managers and stuff. You can tell when a team's struggling mentally too, because that's the old Yogi quote is baseball's 90% mental and the other half is physical.
Yeah.
But it is mostly a mental game. So if you have a strong-headed clubhouse with the right group of guys, I think a team like that can go anywhere. Look at the Orioles. They don't have the most prolific power hitters or contact hitters or whatever, but whatever they got going on in that clubhouse is just working.
Yeah, excitement. They want to play together. You're young, but
maybe they want to prove something.
What they had Mancini was a hell of a leader after all he's been through. They got guys like that. Just seem like they. But they don't have a bunch of other ones after Mancini, right? At this point, there are a lot of young guys.
Yeah.
A lot of young guys who have no knowledge of losing.
No, I mean, Rugnet Odor is probably the biggest veteran on the team. I don't even know, yeah.
But they have a bunch of young guys that have no idea what losing feels like because they've never been in the majors.
Yeah.
And then they have some guys who know exactly how bad it is to lose.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a little bit different kind of leadership play for their own style.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. But you need that. It's just that strikes me with looking at some of these teams like the Angels, Yankees, White Sox, Twins last year. You know, it kind of strikes you when you go, boy, just something not quite.
Yeah.
Like,
They're missing that
it's
secret
just
sauce.
It's not there. You look at the Astros in previous years; they were leaders, Springer and guys like that. It's like you had them.
Yeah, you had a
just seemed
core
like
of teammates.
Yeah, this team was going to be solid. They have their leaders. They're going to fight up and down, and they're going to get on each other when they need to, and they're going to pat each other on the back when they need to.
Yeah,
But they're
absolutely.
going to fight if they had to too. You got to fight people. Sometimes you got to be. I mean, that could be the difference too. It's Mets season. Coming out the gate fighting people. It was opening day. You're fighting somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes a difference. It gets a little fire under everyone's ass, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, the difference maker we'll see in the playoffs. You know, that's make or break, you know, guys. Whether a team gets hot or not is another thing, but if you got a right group of guys, again, you could go anywhere. You could do anything. Look at the 2019 Nationals. Worst to best. So, it can happen. It could definitely happen. So let's move on to the wrap-up piece of the news, number 4 here. Who is doing the best right now? So the Dodgers still own the best record in the league by quite a bit, and they probably will till the end of the year. They are 93-42, while the Mets and Braves are currently tied, like we previously mentioned, for the NL East, and the second best record in the NL at 85-51. Over in the NL or the AL, the Astros have the best record at 87-49, while the Yankees have the second best at 81-54. The Dodgers own the best run differential at plus 294, and the Pirates and the Nationals share the worst run differential at minus 203.
Yeah.
So those are your best and worst teams. Not much really changing.
Yeah. Some teams I got here on the hot list: Rays, Blue Jays, Mariners, Angels, Braves, and Cardinals have been one of the best teams since the deadline. They're like 28-7 or 29-8 or something like that. Some teams that have been cold: Tigers all year. Rangers have been bad of late. I think they're 1-9 over the last 10 or so. Marlins are terrible. I think they lost 8 in a row at this point. Cubs obviously struggling, and the Pirates, as you mentioned, already struggled. So those are some hot and cold teams I had.
Yeah, no, those teams make sense, especially the bad ones, or the cold ones, I should say. Yeah, so with that, let's move on to who's hot and who's not, the hot and cold section of the show. Your AL player of the week was Xander Bogaerts, and I believe the NL was probably Zach Gallen. Because isn't he the one with the 43 innings?
44 to third.
Yeah, I believe he won it in the NL. You probably have him, if I had to guess. But in the AL, the guy that won was Xander Bogaerts, so I have here. He batted .458 over last week with a .583 slugging and a .1083 OPS. Number 2, I don't know how he didn't win Player of the Week, but Bo Bichette batted .593 with a .1259 slugging and an .1866 OPS.
A 3 home run game.
I think he had like a 3 home run game, and he had like 4 home runs in 5 at bats, or it was something incredible. So I don't know how he quite didn't get it, but sure. Number 3, Jose Altuve, batting .381 with a .762 slugging and 1197 over the last week. 1197 OPS, that is. Number 4, Adley Rutschman, talking about probably the future leader of that Orioles team. Batted .375 over the last week with a .708 slugging and an 1172 OPS. And number 5, a name that should be more familiar with this list than he has been this year, is Mike Trout. Batted .350 over the last week with an .850 slugging and a 1259 OPS. So, with the exception of really, I guess, Adley Rutschman being a rookie, very familiar names between Bichette, Bogaerts, Altuve, and Trout.
Yeah.
We've seen those names quite a bit.
Yeah, and some guys I got on my list here are probably some maybe, ones you don't see much on this list. Elvis Andrus, since going to the White Sox, has been hot.
Berserk. Yeah.
Good for him. I always kind of liked him. Michael Harris for the Braves, doing good. Tommy Edman, been red hot of late for the Cardinals, doing his thing. And Vaughn Grissom for the Braves as well, another young player who's been pretty hot here of late.
Yeah.
Some pitchers, you mentioned Zach Gallen, Dylan Cease, of course, Alex Cobb. I think went 7 or 8 shutout innings the other day.
I know.
Yu Darvish, another one with 7 or 8 shutout innings the other day. Logan Gilbert's been red hot his last 2 starts. I think he got 12 innings, 0 runs, like 1 walk, like 18 strikeouts or something like that. And Strider, you want to talk about strikeouts, struck out 16 guys in 1 start, and then came in today, and I believe went 6 innings, 2 runs. He got the win again today. So he's been red hot, and I think he's damn near leading the league in strikeouts, and he really was a reliever and didn't pitch much at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And he's been unbelievable. His swing and miss stuff is some of the best, if not the best, in baseball at this point. I mean, they just don't touch him. I think it's got like 180 strikeouts or something, like 120 innings, if that. It's ridiculous.
I mean, especially being Braves, sounding a lot like a Chris Medlin situation. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you come out of nowhere and you're just absolutely dominant.
And he's got some stank on him coming off that mound. You know, he's walking off that mound. He pitched against Dodgers earlier this year when he was first kind of becoming a starter, and people started realizing him. He shut them right down. What was it, like 7 innings, 1 run? No runs, I think. That game against the
I
Dodgers.
think it was a shutout. Yeah.
I think he pitched against the Cardinals early on. He's got that it factor. It's just the walks. Sometimes he does walk a little bit at guys, but he has that nasty stuff that's just, boy, he's a strikeout guy though.
Oh yeah,
He's disgusting.
I think his most recent start was 16 strikeouts. It was 16 strikeouts and no walks, which I think was only like the 20-something or 30th time in MLB history.
I think he only had like 102 pitches through 8 innings.
Yeah.
Or 105. It wasn't like a whole. Like he probably could have went another inning, but also, you don't have to.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah,
up like 7-0, I think too.
Yeah, so there's no point in stretching him. Overstretching him. So, yeah, he's been awesome. He's been a big part of that Braves. And that's a thing too with that. What's so impressive about that Braves team is the Mets aren't really doing you any favors. They have 85 wins too. It's not like the Mets really are playing bad like we've seen with the Yankees, bad baseball. Braves are just that good.
Since June, the Braves have like 10 losses.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
incredible.
I know Mets fans have been kind of getting down on what's going on, but I'm like, man, that's a good Braves team. You're doing the best you can. You're going to win. Both teams are going to win just about 100 games. So what are you going to do?
Division though, because then you get that first round bye.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're going to try avoiding that Dodgers or Braves or whoever the higher seeds are, and you could be home. So you really got to.
Yeah, you don't want to go into that 3-game set. Against I guess it would be like the.
Yeah, you could go against Philly.
I guess ooh.
You got Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola on the mound, and then the way that offense can hit.
Yeah.
You got if you're the Mets, obviously DeGrom and Scherzer. Well, Scherzer, hurt. We'll get into that later, but you don't want to get into that. And then the division game, you don't ever want to get into any of that ruckus.
Absolutely not.
You play the Cardinals. Anytime Cardinals are in October playing baseball, you don't want to play them.
No, especially with Pujols and Yachty's last season, and who knows with Wainwright. You don't want to have to go to Busch Stadium or anything.
No, and you get Flaherty coming back. You don't want to play them.
No, I wouldn't.
And then eventually, if you do end up passing them, then you got to play the high seeds. You got to play the Braves. You got to play the Dodgers, something like that. You don't want to. You rather just try avoiding that stuff. And let the first round beat each other up, and then you pick up the crumbs later.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a good division. It is what it is. It's very competitive. And we kind of thought it would be. So here we are. Yeah. So from there, let's move on to the cold players of the week. The first guy I have here is Adolis Garcia, batted .083 over the last week, a .250 slugging and a .333 OPS, who really all year had been unbelievable, quietly over with Texas. Probably contributing to that, 1-9, 10 game.
Yeah.
So
it's cold here.
What the hell? Number 2, as you mentioned with the Mets, Pete Alonso, batted .059 over the last week with a .235 slugging and a .435 OPS. He's been struggling a little bit for the last month, I think. Lars Nootbaar, number 3, batted .059 over the last week with a .235 slugging and a .340 OPS. Number 4, Brendan Rodgers, 0 average, 0 slugging, a .167 OPS. He's 0 for his last 15. And number 5, Giancarlo Stanton, batted .067 over the last week with an .067 slugging and a .192 OPS. Another guy contributing to the Yankees, troublesome month or so here, is a guy that was hurt and is now not really playing well, probably still hurt. So yeah, those are your cold players of the week that I got.
Yes, some ones I got here. Vlad, it's been cold for the Blue Jays there. Corey Seager, another Ranger. Bobby Witt's been cold of late, and Ahmad Rosario. Some pitchers here that have been cold: Rich Hill, Cole Irvin, Sean Manaea has been getting hit pretty hard this year. Kyle Gibson not quite having his year, and Kyle Wright for the Braves. So there's some pitchers to go along with a few hitters that Mike, and then the ones that Mike already had to mention.
Yeah, some surprising names on there, especially like a guy like Kyle Wright, who really came up and was pretty shut down almost in every start he had, when he first came up. So seeing names like that, it's like, oh man, what's going on there, Yeah. So Sean Manaea, another guy that came up and was lights out for that one season or half season or whatever, and just hasn't really.
The Red Sox.
Yeah, and just kind of really hasn't gotten back to that. So I don't know.
Yeah. So next thing I got here is some injuries. We had Shane McClanahan placed on the IL with a shoulder. Rizzo on the IL with a back/headache nonsense he's got going on. Stanton day-to-day with a foot injury. LeMahieu day-to-day with a foot injury. And Benintendi broke his hamate bone. He's going to be out here till October. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Luis Robert still isn't playing games. Still been day to day. Not sure what's going on. When he's been healthy this year, he's been great.
Yeah.
Max Scherzer placing the IL with the left oblique. They say it's more just precautionary, but again, he's 30. I don't even know.
He's 38. Yeah.
Yeah, with the same injury already. You're going down the stretch here, right? It's almost playoff time. You're losing the grip of the division, so they're in some trouble there.
I think real quick before you get into that, I think Scherzer have kind of a similar issue last year with the Dodgers right at the end here. He was getting kind of all banged up.
Yep, then he pitched. He wasn't really pitching that great.
Yeah.
And then, so that's
Thought so.
what you got to worry about. Marte hit on the hand yesterday, left the game, got x-rays negative. He's getting more scanning and MRI, so there's not out of the clear yet. That could be a huge loss. Castellanos in the IL seems like it's more like precautionary, kind of. He'll be back shortly, but again, you're in the chase for wild cards and playoff spots. You really don't want these guys missing. Jose Iglesias placed on the IL, and Brandon Belt done for the year with knee surgery, and Brandon Drury, concussion IL, got hit in the head last Friday, give or take. The hope is he'll be back by the weekend is the hope, but he got placed on the IL, and we all know the head injuries and vision problems he's had in the past.
Yeah.
On the update side of things, Nestor Cortez throwing live pitching sessions, so he should be coming back here pretty shortly. Chapman's about to start doing some throwing. He'll be back for the Yankees at some point. Tyler Mahle, thanks for coming back. If you're a Twins fan, came back, pitched 2 innings, got shelled, hurt his arm again. He's back on the IL. Tim Anderson, still not cleared to swing yet, so he probably won't be back here until last few days of the season. Ryan Presley, not activated. He still has something wrong with his neck. Verlander, they keep kind of pushing him back. You probably won't see him really much until the end of the regular season, maybe a start at the end. Zach Wheeler's delayed with his throwing. He's had a little setback, but he's still throwing the ball. So he's still doing a throwing program, so I don't think it'll be too long. But, again, the Phillies, you need these guys back. Flaherty for the Cardinals, back 5 innings, 1 earned the other day. Looked pretty good. He topped up at like 97.1. You get him going because he's an ace in baseball.
Yeah.
Cardinals could be even scarier. Tony Gosselin should be returning here soon, and Walker Buehler got his second Tommy John surgery. So he's done for, obviously, this year and probably just about all next year.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at injury news-wise. I mean, and then, there's other ones. Acuna seems to be day-to-day every single day. Soroka, he's on the verge of coming back. They actually technically option him back down to the minors so he can get some more starts, but he's off the rehab assignment, but it's still technically his rehab assignment. But he should be back here soon. I don't know where else I can, Votto expects to continue playing next year, if you want to just put that in there. He mentioned that. So
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's like your injury update on the update side. So a lot of the big names there and a lot of playoff contenders that need their guys back.
Yeah. The Walker Buehler one stinks because I like him.
Especially
and
since
he's a good
been
pitcher.
Out since May, June. You feel like, you get Tommy John there, you could be back at the end of next year. You wait till August, September, you're out.
Yep.
Pretty much for, all next year.
Yeah, it stinks. It stinks for the Dodgers, really.
Yeah.
They have him and Bauer had his problems, so there's 2 guys you expected in the next few years to be ready to go.
Obviously going to start sliding. He's hurt every year at this point, and it's.
But hey, 93 wins. I guess they're not really. I don't know. I guess they're absorbing it. I don't know.
You put the money somewhere else. You don't worry about it too much, right? Buy enough lottery tickets, you'll win something, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
The last thing I got here is a trivia question. And who was the last player to win the NL, or National League Triple Crown? And the answer to that, in 1937 for the St. Louis Cardinals, of course, Joe Medwick, Hall of Fame left fielder, batted .374, led the league. 31 home runs led the league. 154 RBIs led the league. He also went on to lead the league with a .641 slugging, 111 runs, 237 hits, and 56 doubles. He was the last NL National League Triple Crown winner.
Yeah, wow. It's kind of crazy that in the years after that, you had Mickey Mantle winning the Triple Crown. He had the MLB Triple Crown, I think, in like '56.
He was the last one, I believe, to win that both league Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Yastrzemski, Ted Williams.
Yeah, so you have all these. Miggy just did it 8 years ago, I think, or something like that.
Tell you with Fenway, by the way. 2 Red Sox do it, yeah. Sure. Yeah, that doesn't raise your home runs or RBIs or average now, sure.
No, definitely not. So
just want to throw that out there, but
yeah, it's just weird that the AL has had so many, and the NL has been stuck in this. I guess it would be like 80-some year or 80-year gap. It's pretty crazy. So I don't know. Hopefully Goldschmidt does it. I like Goldschmidt, so
Yeah, I think Goldschmidt's a Hall of Famer.
at this point, I mean, and people forget too, he had like a 2020 season.
Well, he stole a lot of
think
bases
he-
with Arizona.
Yeah, I think
He fits with the Cardinals though. That uniform, almost like how was he not wearing this for ever since he was born?
it almost makes me forget. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I just
like Arizona. You're like, oh, when did he play with them? And
Yeah.
you realize he's like, that's where he played.
I know, that's
What
what I
do we
think. I think all the time, like, oh, he was always a Cardinal, right? Oh,
I
that's
almost
right.
feel like that with Arenado already too.
Yeah,
Like the Rockies, that purple. Then you go to the Cardinals. Like, that's what happens. Yeah, so it looks over there.
right.
So,
I agree.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. We have a Labor Day, so
Yep.
that's almost the end of summer at that point. Football is back, right? Thursday, tomorrow. We'll be watching football. Watching another team out in LA, paid for a bunch of players. So, we'll see what that goes out
Yeah.
there. Raiders will be doing their thing. So football's back. College football, we already seen ruckus. LSU missing extra points to tie the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. But football's back. Basketball's on the verge. Hockey's on the verge. Racing's in its playoffs. So again, we talk about it every couple of weeks here. But we're on the verge of some just absolute chaos in the sports world.
Yeah, absolutely. By the time this goes live, you'll have enough time to listen to this and then watch the football
night.
game. So that'll be cool. And it's actually, I know Thursday night football kind of has the tendency to, it has like a bad stigma of not having the good game. It kind of has more of a barn burner type game tendency. But this is, from what I understand, is supposed to be a pretty good game. So it's exciting your opening night that you got a game that people are going to want to check in on.
Yeah.
And then fantasy football's going to be in full effect, and
yeah.
I know people that aren't even football fans love fantasy football. So
yeah.
it's just such a big thing, and just this time of the year with playoff baseball and all.
Fantasy, right?
Yeah,
Fantasy baseball is
yeah.
in the playoffs for us.
So far, knock on wood, so far so good for me. But Frank had a bye, so he's sitting pretty right now.
Because I'm a first round knockout in the
Yeah.
playoffs. That seems to be the first, second seed every year, knocked out in the first round.
Yeah, we'll come back next week and see. It'll probably be.
We knocked out in the second
It'll either
round,
be,
but-
yeah. It'll either be a incredible collapse by me to lose this week, or
Or I gotta play this guy for the fourth time. And
Yeah,
I beat
or
him all
it's-
3 times. Really, in reality, I had him beat all 3 times, but that never happens. The
yeah,
team
just
fell apart.
absolute nonsense
His team, the
ensues.
last time I played him, he batted 980 on
Seven
Sunday.
7 home runs in one day is incredible.
Yeah, went 7 at bats and batted 900. It's incredible. So.
Yeah, so we'll see. There's a lot of sports stuff to look forward to. Obviously, hockey and basketball getting into their season, not in the not too distant future. So
October, yeah, it rolls around.
yeah, so a lot to look forward to. But I hope everyone had a good Labor Day and stayed safe and had fun. And if you're going back to school, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
I'm not envious of you. But other than that, that's really all I got. And we're getting really close to some divisional and wild card
Oh, yeah.
showdowns here. So
Pennants and everything else, celebrations, champagne's popping, and things like that.
yeah, it'll get even more. It'll get tighter and tighter as for the most part as the weeks go on here. So we shall see, and we will be here. So again, that's all I got. So unless you got anything else, you can just wrap this one up.
No, that's it. Yeah, we're just exciting time, and football-wise, go Raiders.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. You can catch this podcast on Apple Podcasts, as well as Google Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel, as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep, take care.